What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Thursday playoff edition of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365, the second to last episode of the week, as J-Rock so happily put it in the chat this morning. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Johnny Lazarus, and Colby, I'm just going to ask you a question right off the bat. Everyone says you're not in trouble until you lose a playoff game at home. There are now two more teams down 2-0 going back home. Those teams that I'm referring to are the Montreal Canadiens and the Edmonton Oilers, who to me look like they might be in trouble. Do you agree?
Everybody that's down 2-0 is in big fucking trouble.
You don't buy that phrase at all.
Johnny, 86 or 7% of teams that lose the first two games of a playoff series don't win. So explain to me, as a guy who is our quote unquote resident betting expert, we're using the term expert lightly this morning.
What was the bet last night?
I forget, but I know you're going to piss off. You're going to piss off a lot of Toronto Maple Leafs fans when we get to Bet365 today. I can tell you that much.
We hit the bet last night, but I forgot what the bet was. Oh, it was the over. Kings over. Yeah, we got that one.
That's right. You didn't go with the jinx on anybody. But yeah, listen,
Colorado. Colorado I've destroyed.
I think all those teams are in trouble. I think Ottawa's probably in the most trouble.
Really?
No, excuse me. I think Edmonton's in the most trouble.
Okay.
And then I'm kind of split between Ottawa and St. Louis. And while St. Louis has played good hockey and they've had close games, that's more, I think the trouble I see St. Louis is more to do with Winnipeg just being really good and less the way St. Louis has played, because I think we both are in agreement that St. Louis has actually played pretty good hockey. Ottawa has shown some flashes. Edmonton is just like, when you go through the goals,
they're almost beating themselves. They're beating themselves.
That's like, other than the power play goals that LA scored, where their power play is so hot, and it's such a shame because usually it's the other way around, right? Usually Edmonton's power play is the one that is just so dominant. But it's really ugly in Edmonton. Like, if I'm an Edmonton Oilers fans, I'm waking up today and I'm pissed. Like, I'm really pissed. Because the effort, the lack of detail, the turnovers, it's hard to watch. And again, Darnell Nurse and Evan Bouchard have just been flat out bad.
Yeah. And we're going to save the Oilers talk for Devin Dubnyk, who we have coming on at around 9:30. So we'll be hearing from, former Oilers goaltender, someone obviously who can speak to the position that we spoke about a little bit yesterday, but now it's more so a conversation because Calvin Pickard came in for relief last night for Stuart Skinner after he let up 5 goals. So now we start to ask the question, is Pickard the starting goalie? Even though, honestly, like Colby, you and I were talking about it, whoever's in that net right now, it doesn't even matter what the chances that are being given up. Like 1-1, backdoor tap in, power play. Like that, it's more on the players than it is.
Yeah, you know me. Like, I'm always quick to blame the goalies. Yeah. I'm always totally okay blaming the goaltenders. But man, I'm not pointing fingers at Stuart Skinner after that game.
No.
You look at the power play goals and you look at the goals that came off the turnovers. You look at the Byfield goal. I mean, it's just careless hockey. I mean, these guys are playing like it's preseason in September. That's how they look. They look like it's preseason hockey.
Do you want to talk about the Byfield goal? Because I know that was a big debate on TNT last night. We can save it for later.
Well, here's what I think we should do. Okay, I think let's.
Well, I just want to phrase one thing too. You'd think we'd plan this out before the show starts, but sometimes our emotions just change once.
Well, that's the thing. We do plan it out. Yeah. We have what we plan on getting through.
And then we get going.
You usually you get me fired up within like the first 3 minutes. Got caffeine today too. Like, I'm not.
We're gonna start with Dallas and Colorado, and then.
But we'll go to Dallas and Colorado first, because I do think there are things to talk about in that game. Goaltending specifically, because it's the opposite. The goaltending's really good in that game last night.
Yeah.
you get Landeskog back. I would have bet the house that with Landeskog coming back into the lineup last night, Colorado would win that game. I mean,
Yeah,
I
how
would
about the
have bet
fact that he hits
house.
Rantanen on the first shift too?
I know.
Knocks him over. Yeah.
And
That was
everybody
awesome.
and everybody went wild. And like
Yeah.
I will say this, I thought it was pretty cool that Duchesne had comments about
Yeah.
Landeskog before the game. I think Landeskog talked about Rantanen in his post-game media available presser, and he said it doesn't matter what jersey he wears. It's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
I think with the Landeskog situation in the playoffs, you have no friends. But I do believe the Landeskog thing is a little bit bigger than just hating each other in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I believe that when a guy comes back from that type of injury or chronic injury and has the uphill battle that he's had with all the setbacks he's had, that's pretty cool. Like that's I think Billy Beane said it. How can you not be romantic about baseball? Well, how can you not be romantic about hockey in that situation with Landeskog? And listen, his adrenaline was at 4,000%. He looked good. The guy looked good. The guy didn't look like he missed a beat. He really didn't. He played at 13, 14 minutes. And
I can check that.
I have it written down here. He played 13 and change, and he was effective. Like he did his job on that third line, and ultimately the Colorado power play kind of letting them down. But here's where I want to start.
Yeah.
I want to start with the first goal of the hockey game. And I want to talk about Val Nichushkin's goal and the Brock Nelson play, which was not called interference, which in my opinion, before you roll the video, Vic, let me just get my thought through. I believe 100% this was called correctly. I do not believe this was a penalty. I do not believe this is a regular season penalty, right? And now you can roll the video, Vic, and then we will read the rule to you, how it's written in the rule book, and we will talk about why this isn't a penalty. And we're curious in the chat. We want to know what you guys think, okay? But, having spoken to somebody who's reffed over 2,000 games in the National Hockey League and 9 Stanley Cup finals, and I wanted his opinion as well. And he made the same, distinction that I made. If you're Brock Nelson and you continue skating and you don't change your speed and you don't make yourself bigger, okay, and you're not lunging into contact, okay.
That was the biggest part for me. He didn't lean in.
Nothing. He didn't change his body. He didn't change his body. It was the most perfectly executed pick. He didn't change the lane he was skating in. He didn't make his body any bit bigger. He didn't speed up. He didn't slow down, right? Like that is a heads up play where Brock Nelson is like, I'm going to roll into this lane to create space. Now, I hope Val Nichushkin sees that and takes advantage of it. And it was executed perfectly, okay? And it was non-called perfectly by the officiating crew, in my opinion. Now, before you weigh in here, Johnny, let's read the rule here. Vic, you could put this up on the screen, and I'll read this for people that are audio only. And this is Rule 56.1, interference, okay? And bear with me here because it's long, but I'm going to read the whole thing to everybody. A player is allowed the ice he is standing on, and he is not required to move in order to let an opponent proceed. A player may block the path of an opponent provided he is in front of his opponent and moving in the same direction, moving laterally and without establishing body position, then making contact with the non-puck carrier is not permitted, and that will be penalized as interference. A player is always entitled to use his body position to lengthen an opponent's path to the puck, provided his stick is not utilized. It wasn't. To make himself bigger and therefore considerably lengthening the distance his opponent must travel to get where he's going. His free hand is not used and does not take advantage of his body position to deliver an otherwise illegal check. Okay, I know that's a lot to digest, but the second part of that explains exactly why that was not called and exactly why that was a good play by Brock Nelson.
I want to see the play one more time, Vic, if you can cue it up. Because when I first saw this, I didn't think anything of it, but now that I like hear you read the rule, I'm thinking about other plays that would be called. Just I want to watch Brock Nelson here one more time because I'm thinking about the play that gets called all the time when it comes to picks, and that's typically a team that's on a power play breakout. The guy that's stretched out at the far blue line skates across, and the PKer backwards skates into that guy, and the guy in the blue line gets called for the pick every time.
I wouldn't say that gets called all the time.
It gets called a lot. That gets
doesn't
called a
happen
lot.
that often. I remember there was a big controversial Rangers one. Was it last
Adam
year?
Fox.
Was it
Yeah.
this year?
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, like has that been called on the Rangers since that happened to Adam Fox last
No,
year?
but that's a typical play that gets called. And I saw a comment from Joe Mama, I think, in the chat that said, like, if Thomas Harley goes down, that gets called. So, I mean, I kind of agree with that comment. If Harley goes down, like Harley has to go around Brock Nelson, but I'm not saying like Brock Nelson makes a good play. But if Harley goes down,
I'm not sure what
down, you know that gets called.
So what are you arguing here? You're arguing that he should fall down?
No, because no one should dive. But I think it's also different because this is 4-on-4 hockey too, and it's man on man, and guys are always constantly moving in 4-on-4, and the game is just played differently at 4-on-4 also. But I can agree with the comment that if Harley does go down, that's probably getting called. I don't think Brock Nelson did anything wrong. I'm just saying the result of the play, because Harley didn't go down, changes the way it was called, I think.
Right. Okay. So, okay. Yeah, I don't. I'm not.
It's not like you can't sit here and say that Brock Nelson didn't interfere with Harley at all. He did.
But it was, like I said, it was perfectly executed. He kept his feet moving. He didn't change his feet. He didn't change his hands. He didn't make himself bigger. He literally did everything that you would ask a player to do. So that's how the game starts. Okay. Right. And from that point in, it was, to me, it felt like the ebb and flow tilted more towards Dallas the rest of the game. And I think a lot of that credit has to be given to the fact that, Dallas's penalty kill has really stepped up. I mean, going back to game 1 where they had to kill off a 5-on-3 early in the first period and they killed it off. I know they didn't win game 1.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at the difference in these series of special teams. Edmonton
0 for 6 last night.
0 for again, and LA gets 3 power play goals. Colorado's what? Oh, you said it was 0 for 6?
0
I
for
thought it
6.
was 0 for 6. I mean,
like,
how about the details in the penalty killing for the Dallas Stars?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference in the hockey game. And then I point to 3 I point to 3 Ottinger saves in the second period. Okay, 1 came a minute into the second period. Okay, and just bear with me because I wrote this stuff down last night. And I'm like flying through it, so it's like chicken scratch. But they have the face-off play early in the second period where Girard runs down the wall, right, and then he makes the save on him, and then the save on Brock Nelson. Like the shots are 14-5. The momentum is all Dallas's. If Colorado gets that goal a minute into the period, come on. Do we really think Dallas is going to come back on them? No, look at the save there.
Yeah,
so that's one save by Ottinger. The other 2 that I had were he gets a couple of minutes later, he stops O'Connor on a breakaway, and then Drury on the secondary opportunity, right? And then in the last minute of the second period, it's the partial breakaway by Nathan MacKinnon where he just goes, right? And he basically creates something out of nothing. Like I said, I wasn't sure if Jake Ottinger could be the star and win this series to start. Yeah. He's been pretty damn good the last 6 periods of hockey.
And if you're Colorado, you're sitting here, and I even said it myself, I'm like, man, like that team could be up 3-0 in the series right now, and instead they're down 2-1. It's 2 overtimes, back-to-back overtime games. They don't get the bounce in either one. Like that's got to be insanely frustrating.
Dallas has been the better team
for the series.
For 2 of the 3 games.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Dallas has been the better team. Okay.
I thought game 2 was a little bit more back and forth. I thought game 2, Colorado was actually better until late.
Yeah, well then I guess we'll have to agree to disagree because
Yeah.
I think that I think Dallas has been the better team. And I think when you look at, again, you want to get into the details. Like I kind of wanted to bring up the power play goal that Jamie Benn scores in the third period of that game. And I want to talk about the fact that your boy Cale Makar, who obviously, again, best
Yeah.
defenseman in the National Hockey League, but he makes a big mistake here on this
Yeah.
goal. I don't know if you have this goal ready to tee up here, Vic, but what I want to point out here on this power play goal, go ahead and roll it right up until Harley has that sort of fake shot. Right here, freeze it. So look at Cale Makar's stick right now. Cale Makar, Vic, he's in the slot pretty close to Jamie Benn. He gets a little twisted here. That's Val Nichushkin, who's on the post right now. But okay, right now, Cale Makar, instead of going stick extended, has his stick in a lane, taking away nobody.
Doesn't
and he goes
exist.
to this little
Yeah.
half-cocked shot block, and he completely leaves the middle of the ice open. And this is how the shot pass goes in the net. If Makar just has his stick extended or a stick into the middle, which is the more dangerous lane, this goal probably doesn't happen, right? So, like, that's the difference in Colorado continuing a 1-0 lead, and now all of a sudden Dallas gets the goal, they get their belief, Colorado gets back on their heels, and then we know how the game ends.
Yeah.
We know how this one ends. So these are the details, man. I mean, we'll talk more details when we get into the Edmonton game, but these details are everything come playoff time. It's a little stick out of position. It's the difference of being in a shot lane versus not being in a shot lane, and that's the difference last night, right?
So let me ask you the question before we move on, because we got to talk about Montreal and Washington too a little bit. We haven't really dove into that series much. I feel like must win for Colorado at home, game 4.
Hold on, can we talk about the overtime goal for a second?
Yeah. Yep.
We were pretty critical of Connor McDavid, his play late in the game.
Yeah.
And
Game 1. Yeah.
we were critical of that play. I think we have to point out the fact that on the overtime goal, this play starts with a lost puck stick battle by Nathan MacKinnon. The puck comes around to him. He loses a battle. Then Drouin also loses a battle. Both of those battles are lost by Mikko Rantanen. So, I don't know if did I get booted out here? Or am I still with you?
You're in.
Okay.
You're in.
And then Tyler Seguin, who's the goal scorer, he actually comes from the bench.
Yeah,
so
it makes a hell of a play
play
from his
starts.
foot to his stick.
That's Drouin. That's the second battle that gets lost. But Tyler Seguin jumps off the bench, which is why Makar didn't have him. Makar had Rantanen in the neutral zone. Then Rantanen jumps off, right? And Seguin jumps on.
Mhm.
Listen, we gotta call it like we see it here, right? I mean, we're talking about the best players in the world: Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid. You have to grade them hard. They're the best players in the world. You can't.
What a play by Marchment too, though. That's a hell of a play by Marchment.
Yeah. But these are mistakes. Like these are the turnovers. These are the stick battles. Like this happened 150, 170 feet from their net. 2 stick battles lost. Game over. 2-1. Dallas wins he takes game 1 in Colorado, the first game on Colorado's home ice.
And for me now, like going forward with this series, I find it so unpredictable. Like I don't know. I couldn't tell you who's going to come out and win game 4. Everything is just a coin flip right now.
Yeah, I think Colorado will come out and win game 4.
That's what I thought about game 3.
This will go back and forth.
Who could have guessed that Colorado's power play would come up this short? Nobody. So
Yeah.
I don't really know what to think about this series right now. I still feel like Colorado obviously can win this series, but like they're my cup pick right now. They could be done in the first round. I would have never guessed that without Heiskanen and without Robertson, right?
Yeah. You have to wonder too, like how does getting a lead in the series buy you a few extra days with Heiskanen? Probably not, because it's a 2-1 lead.
Once he's ready, he's going in.
Yeah, who feels good about that, right? I mean, it just depends on how ready is he. So All right, that was the gist of my notes that I took during that game, that I kind of wanted to get through. And again, like I I, I think that in the regular season we don't necessarily do this
Dive into
so
the
many games, but
yeah.
that's the difference in playoffs. Like you just see like these things develop 180 feet from your net, and they're the smallest little things that cost you your season, basically.
Yeah. Speaking of that, the game-winning goal for the Washington Capitals last night. Who I just had the forward in mind on the back check. I think it was Alex Newhook actually. So Montreal makes a change. One forward changes while the Capitals have full possession on a neutral zone regroup. They come down on a 3-on-2, which turns into a 3-on-3 because Newhook is on the back check, but their fourth or second forward coming back. And great job, Vic. So watch Newhook, 15 in the middle. In my mind, Newhook's got to realize, or Matheson on the left side has to pick up the weak side guy. Newhook goes to the puck carrier essentially. So you got two guys checking one guy in a 3-on-3, which makes it become a 3-on-2. And Dylan Strome has a wide open lane to the net, untouched. The Capitals make that look easy. But this is a simple back check for the Montreal Canadiens that turns into the game-winning goal for the Washington Capitals. And these are the things, Kobe, like you said, like these mistakes. You know, Montreal. I listened to Juraj Slafkovsky's post-game comments. Like he looked like he was on the verge of tears. You know, like these guys, it's so emotional, but you know, you watch this goal happen, tic-tac-toe. It looks so easy, but Newhook, and I think it's Matheson right here. Matheson sliding over to pick up the middle lane guy, and then Newhook's on him too, and they both just don't realize
Well,
what's going on in that back check.
yeah. So,
Like if I'm Newhook, like the way I was taught about it on the back check, like I'm going across the weak side guy. And
yeah, but see, that's not how Montreal plays. Their first guy
Yeah.
attacks the puck. Like
Yeah.
you watch Montreal, and this is like when we were kids, Johnny. We were always taught the first back checker takes the weak side or takes the trailer. That's not how most of these NHL teams play anymore. Usually, the first guy back is pressuring the puck carrier, and then you want your D to rotate more into the middle and shift that way. This was a clear-cut 3-on-2.
It looked like Matheson had no idea which guy to take.
To me, this is a bad change, and this is less about Newhook and Matheson and more about tipping your cap to the fact that Ryan Leonard made a real heads-up play to hold on to that puck. And Ray Ferraro between the benches talked about how you could hear the communication from the bench, the Washington bench, saying,
Time.
You have time. Yeah. That was the best game I've seen Ryan Leonard play in the NHL. I mean, he was on the puck. He was skating. He was physical. I mean, I thought he was going to score when he kind of rolled off the right circle.
Yeah.
And you know, he pulled his little toe in and shot. No, Montembeault actually made a good save on him on this
he
one.
got that?
The one he missed the net was the backhand. I think that's the one he missed the net.
No, I'm talking about the one on the far dot, first period.
Oh, no, I'm talking later in the game. This was like in the third period for him. But how about, you know, the play that Hudson just did you see him shake and bake Ryan Leonard up in coverage in the third period over by the bench side wall? Those are, you know, World Junior teammates, they're buddies, you know, obvious rivals as well too. And Hudson led the whole game in ice time again last night for Montreal. Look, Montreal just doesn't have enough. And I think Washington, they've
stayed right in it. You got to give them a little bit of credit, right?
I agreed. But with Washington, like I think what makes them scary is like they're really patient defensively. Like they collapse really well into the house. They trust their goaltender, and why wouldn't they? The way Logan Thompson has played for them. It's almost like, look, we know he's going to bail us out a couple of times, and everything he sees, he's going to stop. So, but you're just like, Montreal can't handle a guy like McMichael. He just can't. I mean, he's too big. He's too strong. Gets two last night. I still think Washington's a dangerous team in the playoffs. Like it may not be dazzling. It may not be pretty, but they got guys who can make plays, and they're just a big, heavy team.
And Randy just wrote in the chat too, the Habs got emotional over missed calls. They were busy yelling at the refs. Like, seems like that's kind of been, well, I guess the opposite because they were called, but the Ottawa game 1, like just getting emotional in the playoffs when there's not much experience there yet. And I did just see Eric Engels, you know, friend of the show, tweet that there are no fines or discipline coming from the Caps cross checks to the faces of Brendan Gallagher and Cole Caulfield. Cole Caulfield too, I know he's been in the Stanley Cup final once already, like his first year when he broke in, you know, in that series against Tampa. but he's been taking a beating in this series so far too. Like he's getting ran over by Ovi, hit by Tom Wilson. Like they are going after Cole Caulfield. And I know he scored in game one.
And why
but man,
wouldn't you? Like,
yeah,
why
no,
wouldn't
no.
you do that?
I'm
You
not
know?
saying that. Yeah, I'm saying that's what we said. That was our like prediction for the series, that Washington was going to be overly physical on Montreal and they wouldn't have enough to respond. But I got
Yeah.
to give the Canadians credit. I mean, overtime game one, basically a 1-goal game till the empty net in game two. Like, I'm not that impressed by the Capitals yet. I thought the Capitals would run them over.
Yeah, I mean, listen, can I just ask you a question? If
Yeah.
you've played 2 games in a series, okay, what is the best lead you can have?
It's nothing. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like you don't get points you don't get points for
No.
keeping it close.
But I'm saying if you're Montreal and you're going home, I don't think you're feeling that bad about yourselves right now, down 2-0.
I mean, listen, you can lie to yourselves, but you're really not in the series. I'm sorry. When you're down 0-2, I mean, like, until you get a win in the playoffs, like you got a massive hole to climb. Again, 86.7% of teams lose these series. So I don't see how you could feel good at all about the way your results have been. This is a results business. Especially in the playoffs. So I just don't see how you're feeling super confident about your team. Now again, you have to find a way. You have to say, okay, we're going home, let's get a win in front of our fans, use the home energy. But Washington's going to win this series. Like all the 2-0 teams are going to win their series. I just don't see it.
Even the Leafs?
The Leafs are going to win their series.
I'm just messing with that. Trying to think if there's one player, in that series so far between Washington, between Montreal, who do you think has been the most impressive so far?
I mean, listen, man, I love the way Dylan Strome is playing.
Yeah, I was going to say Stromer.
I mean, Did you see, the save that Montembeault made on that tip that Strome had?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was the second period, I want to say.
Second period, I believe. Yeah, second period.
I mean, like a complete redirection back the other way. Like that's when Strome's going to get a goal, when he's getting those opportunities. So
yeah,
I love the way Dylan Strome has played. Quietly, I mean, maybe not quietly, but like I think John Carlson is still one of the best. You look at that. Even the third pair for Washington with Van Riemsdyk and oh geez, is it Alexiev he's playing with right now? Like they're just solid. You just know what you're getting out of these guys. Like they're just reliable in everything that they do. And Washington's tough, man. They're like I wouldn't be fooled by the fact that these are low scoring games. I mean, I think like they're doing what they need to do to take care of business.
And Logan Thompson's been really good as well in goal for Washington. Vic also mentioned something that we should bring up too. Patrick Laine benched for the third period. We gave Laine a ton of crap for the overtime goal in game one.
He just does not look engaged. He looks like a player that is completely unwilling to get to the playoff intensity that you need in order to be successful in the playoffs. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You have to raise your compete, your battle, like all these intangibles that the analytics crowd will tell you don't matter. They're everything in the playoffs. And Laine just doesn't look like a guy who's willing to do it. So
yeah.
All right, let's get to Proraso here and bring our guest on so we can get into this disastrous evening for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. This is what we're most excited to talk about.
Well, and he's a goaltender, and so I'll be so curious to get his take on who should start the next game. And like we defended Skinner to start the show, and we said, look, like sure, you can't let in 11 goals in 2 games or whatever, but I also don't look at any of those goals last night and think they're softies. Like I mean, I don't think he let a soft one in last night. I think his team defense is a joke. Their turnover and their puck management is a joke, but I don't put it on Skinner last night at all.
No, that's what we talked about before, but let's bring on Devin Dubnyk. But before we do that, quick word from our sponsor, Proraso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Proraso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations, so get 15% off at Proraso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15 first time guest, but a new friend of the show. Devin, we're really pumped to have you on here. If you are Stuart Skinner or Calvin Pickard this morning, how are you feeling? Because you can't feel bad about your game with the chances that they are allowing on those two right now.
No, I mean, you're not going to feel good about it. Let's be honest. He's catching so much flack. And obviously it's led up from the regular season. There's talk all during the regular season, questions on the goaltending, and he wanted to come out and be great. And unfortunately he hasn't been. That's not all on him. Everybody goes to stats, save percentage, all this stuff. I'm going to look at the goals. I'm going to look at the games. I thought in game one, in the third period, he was great.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I wanted to see that confidence level and not just stopping the puck, but the way he moved around his crease, the saves he was making. I didn't feel that in the first two periods of game one. I felt it in the third. I think the only reason the others come back to tie it 5-5 in game one is 4 or 5 incredible saves by Stuart Skinner. And unfortunately, the fluky one goes in at the end. But revisiting last game, I thought he looked confident. I thought he was making a lot of saves, a lot of difficult saves. He looked confident. He looked intense in the net. I mean, go through the goals.
We did. I mean, like, there's nothing that you look at and blame the goalie on.
No, if you want to get nitpicky, it's like, because what everybody says is, well, we want him to come up with one. We want him to come up with, sure. All right, so maybe the Quinton Byfield goal. Now, it's a bad game defensively when you get up 5 and the goal that you're picking on is basically a breakaway that the guy goes right under the crossbar. Maybe take a step out there.
Yeah.
It would help if his defenseman didn't decide to leave
Devin,
the front of the net.
Can we get into that goal a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I was a defenseman, so I'm looking at the way Evan Bouchard plays this goal. And look, we could roll this clip back a minute and we could pick through every mistake that was made, because there was. I mean, it was like atrocious mistakes in the offensive zone. It was horrible D-zone coverage. But what I want to dig into with you here, Devin, if we could, and Vic,
it starts right here. It starts right here with Nurse. I don't like Darnell Nurse just kind of goes to sleep up here. Is he follows? I think that's Laferriere.
Yeah.
He follows up the wall. It's like the intensity is just not there. Like, he's kind of following his guy, but if you watch him, he just kind of floats up the wall and loses position here. And Byfield blows past him. Like, I'm not sure what Darnell Nurse is doing.
Go back, Vic. Go back a little
position.
bit.
Yeah, go back a little bit. I'm not sure. Like, Nurse comes up the wall, and he just kind of gets lost. Like, that's his position. He's got to protect the middle of the ice.
Couple more frames here. I want to just talk about the 2-on-1 portion. No, go the other way, please, Vic.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, like, right here, okay? So, Devin, I want to just tell you something I was taught at sort of I guess at the collegiate level. This is the first time I was taught this. As a defenseman on a 2-on-1, your first job is to identify the hands of both shooters. That's what I was taught by David Quinn as the first thing you're supposed to do as a defenseman on a 2-on-1, because that informs everything about how you play the 2-on-1, and that informs how your goalie is thinking about the 2-on-1. And when I look here, I never really see Bouchard identify the fact that Fiala, although he's on the back door, he's on his strong side. So it is not a one-timer option. And you have Byfield, who, yes, is he off the angle a little bit? And you can roll it a little bit, Vic, but he takes pretty good ice, but he's a left shot on the right side. So you're not lining as a defenseman. You're not looking at his body position. Where's the stick in the puck? Well, the stick in the puck is in a hell of a shooting position. And I think Bouchard completely, misplays this 2-on-1, and he leaves Skinner out to dry. Like, I just can't understand how you give him this much room when it's not a one-timer option. And to me, like, that's a really important detail of a 2-on-1 for a guy who wants $11 million bucks.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I think that, like, and you're a goalie, so I want to hear from you. Like, am I on the right track with how you're at least thinking about a 2-on-1 in that situation, or what am I maybe missing?
No, you're right on it. And here's the thing: is you can't. Even if you're defending a pass, I don't know if we can bring that clip up again. Even if you're defending a pass, You can't just leave, because it, as a goalie, it doesn't help. You're giving me a breakaway with a decoy, because there's no time. Even if you go stand beside the guy, maybe if you just go tie him up, is about the only way I'm going to feel 100% that there's not a pass going over there. So now you're giving a guy a breakaway with a decoy. Now I'll defend Bouchard briefly here, in that because the play, just briefly, just because the play happens so quickly, I don't think he had time to identify. Now stop here.
Yeah.
I don't think he had time to identify what shot that was. Regardless, even if this is a one-timer here, you can defend the pass while still pressuring the guy with the puck. So right where Bouchard is here, he doesn't need to go anywhere. He doesn't need to jump at Byfield here. If you jump, that obviously makes it an easier pass. However, if he holds his spot here, as Byfield comes to the net, he's able to pressure him. Now, just leave the clip here. The thing is being a strong-headed shot, number one, you can't let him go to the net, because he then gets a good angle. Number two, if he is going to pass, he either has to bring it to his backhand and make a pass across, or he has to open up to his forehand to make a pass. Both things that are going to allow me as a goalie to know that he's passing the puck. So that's going to give me a head start, one-timer or not on the other side. That's going to give me a head start on the read that he is going to pass the puck, and it's going to give me an opportunity to go over there. So Bouchard stays there. He skated right into the space that Bouchard was in, that he left. All he had to do was stay there, and then as Byfield goes at him, he can then go at him and pressure him. And even if he does make a pass, it's probably going to be a sold pass, and it's probably not going to be a super hard pass. And if they execute, then great. If they make an unbelievable play, make them make a play. If he throws a perfect sauce and they hammer it in the back of the net, if he goes backhand and goes through the triangle and they put it in the back of the net, great. But make them make a great play. Don't give him a straight line free breakaway to the net with a decoy. It's too easy.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with Edmonton right now. Devin, is like, Edmonton, look, LA's power play has been great. I mean, on the power play, there are times where you're just, as a killer, you tip your cap. As there are stick lanes and this and that, but they're making some really high-end elite puck moving plays. They're getting good bounces. They're playing direct on the power play, but 5-on-5, they're being gifted bad F3. Trent Frederick on the sixth goal. Like, there's three guys down low. Trent Frederick decides, you know what? I'm going to dive straight in and be the fourth guy. And you give up a 2-on-1 to Adrian Kempe and Anze Kopitar. Like, you're shooting yourselves in the foot shift after shift. And that's what they've done all season. And that's why when Tyler came on our show the other day, I know you have a show that we're going to talk about from Oilers Nation, Devin, but I said to Tyler, like, why do you think they're going to flip the switch? I just didn't see that happening.
No, and here's the thing with LA 5-on-5 is they defend really well. So I would say Edmonton needs to establish a shot more. They need to shoot more. And that's not, I'm not a guy that's like shoot the puck, take bad shots.
Yeah.
But you do have to shoot the puck sometimes, because when the rebounds come, if it goes off the board, it creates chaos and it creates confusion. And that opens up the ability for Edmonton to then make their skill plays, their cross-seam plays. But LA defends too well when they're in structure and they know that's the only thing that's coming. They defend well, and those plays aren't there. They're being forced. They're being turned over. And LA 5-on-5, they're not like generating a whole bunch of scoring chances. That's why it's hard. It's a hard game for the goalie, for Skinner, and it doesn't look great numbers-wise, because they're just defending well. They're not making mistakes, and they're pouncing on the Oilers' mistakes. So they're not going down and generating scoring chance after scoring chance, whether it's in zone or off the rush. They're just not giving up a lot, and they're waiting for the Oilers to make that mistake, and they're pouncing on it, and they're putting it in the back of the net. Look at Kempe's first goal, Kempe's second goal, and Byfield's goal. Those are 3 open shots from places that the Oilers didn't have one single opportunity in that game. One shot like that in the entire game, and there are 3 goals against like that.
Well, I wanted to ask you that too, Devin, like while you're kind of talking about it, and I'd love to get into the mind of a goalie. When your offense isn't firing and it's not clicking and the power play isn't finding a way to score a goal, and you're in that net, and now you're probably thinking to yourself, I better make every extra save. Not that you don't think that normally, but it's like, oh my God, there's this added pressure on me now to make every extra save because I don't know if they're going to be able to get these chances. So if you're in the mind of like Stuart Skinner or Calvin Pickard right now, like that added pressure, like do you feel that in net when you don't see the power play, which is usually one of the best power plays in the league, finding a way to score? Like I got to imagine though that those two still feel confident in their power play's ability to find a way to get it going here. Only 2 games in, like we're not going to say that Oilers power play is totally cooked for this series, right? Because we've seen them get hot before. But what are you thinking, like in your yeah? But what are you thinking in your own crease when you see your best offensive players not being able to fire at will like they usually do?
Yeah, it's one of those external pressures you got to deal with that doesn't help you, and it's more one of those things that it starts to get frustrating when the goals do go in. You can let it creep a little bit. That's part of our job, is to make sure that doesn't happen, and that you don't let it start to affect what you're doing at all.
It's only human nature sometimes, though, right?
Exactly. And and it's frustrating sitting back at the other end, just watching the shots not get through to the net, not overpassing, not taking opportunities to shoot, not putting pucks in the net, and then feeling like you're getting grade A's from the slot all the time, and kind of going back to that defending from Edmonton. It's hard as a goalie when those happen. Listen, those are going to happen, right? Everybody's going to make mistakes. Bounces are going to happen. Guys are going to get wide open. When you feel comfortable and confident with what's happening in front of you, with the way guys are defending, when those happen, it's easier to make the save because it just you're flowing in the game. You trust what's going on. Something crazy happens, boom, you're on it. You make a save. When you start feeling like that's going to happen every time you have the puck, then it doesn't feel controlled in front of you. You don't feel comfortable, and you probably tighten up when those plays do come because it's like, holy crap, here we go again. Another gift in the slot, and
here we go again.
If you're comfortable with what's going on in front of you, those happen, and you just flow with it. You get ready, and you make more of those saves. But when it's the only thing you're seeing, you start to tighten up, and you can see, even on some of the shots, he's tight. He's a little tight. Again, you're not going to be like he needs to make that save, but those opportunities are beating him, and it's probably because he's a little tight because that's all he's seeing.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's always like maybe you said it off the top, like you could steal one that you shouldn't and all that. And but I don't look at that last night and think, oh, this is a failure on Stuart Skinner. All right. I got one more for you, Doobie. And I'm just going to ask you flat out. You're the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Who's playing goaltender for you in Game 3? Because I think this is a complicated situation to dive into.
It's very complicated, and I know there was talk before the series, and before the series I said no, if you're going to win, it's going to be with Stuart Skinner. It's just the way it is. Calvin Pickard has done his job. He's a great teammate. He battles, but his ceiling is only so high. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Calvin Pickard.
Yeah, and so if you're going to win, it's got to be Stuart Skinner. And if they do go to Pickard and they are going to win, it's still going to have to be Stuart Skinner, in my opinion, to get to the end. However, after the game, after watching this game and just watching the lack of intensity, that just surprising out of the Oilers and the way it goes, I wouldn't be surprised to see Calvin Pickard in there. And it is a difficult decision. And the reason being is I don't think that putting Pickard in there is going to, you're not going to get this 970 Andrei Vasilevsky type thing because it's just not available. But the Oilers need something right now. They need a boost. And with Skinner, a lot of the reason I think that people don't love watching him is he is stiff in his movements, and he's structure and he's positioned. So he doesn't break out of that a lot. So you don't see really anything crazy. A lot of his saves, he's in position. He's not doing too much. Pickard is old school. He's a puck stopper. He's a little street hockey in him. So you're gonna get some saves that maybe don't need to look crazy or look like anything, that are gonna look great. And that might just boost the guys. It might be energy on the bench. We know, we've heard the guys talk about how much they love playing for him. We know he battles. So just with the way those first 2 games went, I don't hate putting Skinner in there for an energy boost. You're going to get the home crowd behind you. The guys are going to be pumped. They know that they need to be better in front of their goalies. And if you get a couple of those hardworking, old school kick saves out of Pickard. He looks unorthodox, but he gets the job done. It's going to fire the boys up and maybe just get a little boost that they need.
Well, and as a player, you're sitting there when your starter comes out of the net and you're like, we fucked up. Like you feel you're like, we are the reason that Stewart's not playing tonight. And so we need to make sure we do everything we can to manage the puck and not, basically throw Calvin Pickard under the bus. Like I believe they've thrown Stuart Skinner under the bus. And I think that's the reaction you're looking for. But I'm just going to press you a little bit more. Because here's the thing. I appreciate you ran us through the scenarios, but now I want to know from you, you're the coach, who starts game 3, not what you think they're going to do. What are you doing?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm starting Pickard.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, before the series, it would have taken me a lot. And just the way those games went, and what I just said with just needing something, needing a boost, and you got a guy who's loved and who battles and who works, and you need something because it's not on Skinner, but they need something, and they can't just put him back in and have the same outcome. Plus the pressure now builds and it mounts where every goal that goes in on Skinner right now is going to be here we go again kind of deal. And you can't do that with both guys. Like if Pickard gets scored on, you can't go back to the well of like, again. Like I just think that with the lack of effort and intensity out of Edmonton last game, I think you have no choice, and I'd be putting Pickard in.
Yeah. And I'm going to press you too, because I'm jealous that Colby got 2 and I didn't. So I'm going to ask you, well, this is more personal stuff though. Like we started the show. Well, no. Well, we started the show saying like, the whole phrase, you're not in trouble till you lose at home. Like, kind of bullshit when you're down 2-0, right? And I know you've been in the playoff series going down 2-0 before. Granted, I think you guys dropped both at home, and then you went to St. Louis, right? That last year in Minnesota, so it's a little different. But
we played Winnipeg and dropped both in Winnipeg too.
You dropped both. Okay, so can you bring us in the mind of someone down 0-2 going back home and how you truly do feel now that you're out of it? Because we know the guys that are in it, they're going to sit there and say like, we still believe in this room. We know we'll come back, but you can probably speak more honestly about that now being out of it.
Yeah, you do believe, and it's refreshing to come back home. It's disappointing, but it's kind of that reset. You get in there, you're in a hostile environment on the road. You want to go take one. I mean, the Oilers are more than capable of taking one in LA if they play properly. But it is kind of a rejuvenation. It's like, okay, that didn't go the way that we thought it was going to go. We know they were going to be tough games. We were pretty big underdogs to Winnipeg when we were there. They did what we expected them to do. They swarmed us in Winnipeg. We should have won game 1. It's actually a lot like this one. We should have won game 1 with the others coming back and all the momentum, but should have won game 1, got smoked in game 2. And it is kind of a mental refresh knowing that you're coming back home. You get back in your own bed. You know the fans are there. You're in your home dressing room, all that stuff. It's kind of like you kind of get a little start over, and knowing, though, that this is must-win territory, period. And because if you go and win the next game, series is completely different. Because now, they've in the past, they haven't won a lot of first games. I can't remember what the stat was, but their numbers in like games 1 through 3 are like 10-18 or something. And then they win all the other ones. So you have that in the back of your mind, but it is a refresher, and this is absolute must win though, because if you go home and make it 2-1 and you have momentum going into game 3, it's a new series.
Yeah, and just to address what up in the chat, no, the question was not, do pro athletes quit when they're down 2-0? It's really if you actually get to flip the page, because it's true. Like I've witnessed it now doing this enough that momentum doesn't really carry over from game to game. But I was just curious, like, if a team sometimes knows they're outmatched, I'm not saying the Oilers probably know that right now, but like, I look at a team like Montreal, who's probably a little bit more outmatched, against Washington than this case. It's a little bit different when you go down 2-0, it's tough.
It is. And this is why this game's such a must win, because you go down 3-0, it does change. You're not giving up. You're not anything, but there is something in you that it's like, down 3-0 doesn't happen very often. Yeah. And so you're still going out and you're fighting for your life and you're going to do everything, but down 2-0, you're 1 win away and it's a 1-game series.
Yeah.
Down 3-0, you're like, holy shit, we're in one here,
Daunting.
and
Yeah.
you're going to go battle, but
Yeah.
it is a long way to go, and you know it, and you have to try to go game by game, but it's different. 2-0 going back home, you're refreshed and ready to go.
You just win a period if you're Edmonton. Just go win a period
Yeah.
and have 20 minutes where you feel really good about the way you manage the puck. Because on that goal, we showed the ineptitude of the way that they were in the offensive zone and their F3, and it's just like these plays are developing in the offensive zone below the goal line, as far away from their own net as they possibly could. So,
well, and that's what good defending will do too, right? It brings frustration in. So you have LA's doing a good job and not giving them, and then you get frustrated and you start to force. Especially you get down 2 or 3 goals, or even a couple, or you just feel like you're not able to generate anything. The frustration creeps in. You start to break out a structure. You start to try to force things. That's exactly what LA is looking for. That's just playing right into their playbook. Is shut them down, be good defensively, wait for them to get frustrated and make a mistake, and then jump on it.
All right, Devin, look, before we let you go here, we can't not talk about your new show on Oilers Nation. We are, I don't know if Vic told you this or not, but like we're all under the same company here at Nation Network. So Ask Doobie, yesterday was the premiere, new episode on Wednesdays. I caught a couple of clips of the show. It's great to see you kind of going through some of the questions. How did you think it went? Did you like doing it, or?
Yeah, it was great. It's a new thing for me, right? So it's easier for me. All this stuff is new, and it's easier for me to just kind of talk to you guys. So it was new for me just to be talking to the camera, but I had fun with it. I think it'll flow better and better as the shows go on. But I like when they first brought up the idea of the show, I liked it a lot because I like being candid. I like talking with fans about. I think it's important to get some candid insights into a professional player's life. And whether it's on the ice, whether it's off the ice, things that we think about. And I've always enjoyed giving honest answers to people. And I love the people in Edmonton. Obviously, it's not just going to be in Edmonton, but it's amazing. It's been a long time since I played there, and people are still so great to me. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing it every week.
Yeah. So
do you answer every question? Because I'm going to come up with the stupid one for next week's show.
We don't have time, so if you come up with a good question, then we'll find a way to make it in there.
You won't get that from him. Mostly just eye rollers and head shakers. So every Wednesday on Oilers Nation, you guys, I know you guys all, watch Tyler Yaremchuk and the boys who do such a good job over at Oilers Nation, and with Liam and BM and the whole crew, they cover the Oilers about as good as any team can possibly be covered. So make sure you get on the YouTube page to look at Oilers Nation on Wednesdays to see Ask Doobie. I'm sure it also lives as a podcast, I would assume. So get the download set for Wednesdays. Just get automatic download on. This way you don't have to think about it. It'll just be there because it is a great show. I've always felt, and I feel like we have more goalies come on our show, Devin, than probably anything. We have consistent guests. Ray Croft's here consistently. Carter Hutton's here consistently. I think you guys make the best analysts because I think you guys have seen the most, because when you're in the net, you see everything.
Games in front of you.
You see everything.
We hang out there by ourselves and watch everybody in front of us.
I'm always wanting to get a goaltender's opinion. I know on any goalie interference, you're always going to side with your goalies. Andrew Raycroft and I argue all NCAA tournament long because I always blame the goalies just to get at him in the studio. I don't actually always think that. So thanks for coming on today, man. And we look forward to watching Ask Doobie every Wednesday here on Oilers Nation and Nation Network for the rest of the playoffs.
I also love that you have all your masks behind you. I think that's really cool, by the way.
Yeah, that's a few of them. I had to do a little makeshift now that I'm getting on here a little more often. I had to throw some masks up there. But yeah, I got about 18 of them.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, they're fun to keep.
Do you have a favorite that you can show us on the spot, or is that too much?
Let me see here. Here's my old Billy Ranford Oilers mask. You guys will like that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
nice.
That was just like a pure.
Is that for an outdoor game?
No, that was when we first went back, when we went from the old like Navy copper, and they just started bringing back the well, they were retro then. They were like our third jerseys, but bringing back the colors. Let me see here. This one's kind of cool. This is the outdoor game for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's
yeah,
sick.
very cool.
The one at the college, the football stadium there?
Yeah, the TC,
I was at that game.
TCF. Yeah. And this was an old Coyotes one that I never got to wear because I got traded. This was for their like third jerseys.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
That's
the,
sick.
like, video game road runner on the
I think
side.
that's the coolest one.
yeah. I never touched it. It's brand new.
Wow,
Never
no
got worn.
sweat marks, nothing.
No.
Well, look, man, we're grateful for
appreciate
your time today. We'll check back. Look, if we'll keep checking in with you throughout playoffs. If you're willing to get on here with us in the mornings, we're grateful for your insights.
Yeah, I got 3 boys, so I'm up and around regardless. This isn't
Sounds
early.
good. All right, man.
Thanks, Devin.
Good,
Appreciate
good
it.
talking to you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so one more time,
yeah.
just to remind everybody, Ask Doobie Wednesdays, they will drop, and get your questions in over on Oilers Nation. And again, along with all the other coverage they have going on Oilers Nation, it's consistent. So, for those of you that hang with us on the Daily Faceoffs YouTube page, and then Frank and Tyler and then Jeff at 3, like, get over to Oilers Nation. We're all one company. We're all one group here, even though we have our own little sort of sections of the company. So, I did want to go more into some of the goals, but I feel like
they're all the same. It's all the same.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so ugly. Like, I honestly,
I was actually gonna joke too, though, Colby. I was gonna say, like, when he's like, when you're a goalie, you see the whole game in front of you, and I'm like, well, not if you're Skinner or Pickard right now, because you can't see the guy who's back door wide open.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's not good. And they had that pretty spirited conversation on TNT last night. For those of you who are in Canada that missed it, and the debate was really between Rick Bowness and Anson Carter versus Biz about, was it Bouchard? I mean, was it Nurse in bad position on that Byfield goal in the offensive zone? Was it Draisaitl with a bad F3? I mean, and Johnny asked me, like, who do you think was to blame? I think equal. There's plenty of blame to go around on that goal. And then Rick Bowness was quick to talk about the fact that the wingers are flying the zone.
That's what I thought was the worst part.
When it's a 50-50 puck battle. And, like, Connor McDavid was phenomenal with his 4 points last game, and he drags his team back into it. But, like, you get into these tight games in these tense situations. Like, the Byfield goal is the second goal of the game. Like,
yeah, they're cheating for offense.
It's 1-0. You can't cheat like that. Like, Connor McDavid doesn't have to cheat. He's just better than everybody else. Like, you just can't do it this time of year. And I don't know, like, how do you think, Randy, just to answer your question? Yeah, Flames Nation also part of it. It's Flames Nation, it's Oilers Nation, it's Leafs Nation. They all fall under the Nation Network. It's Daily Faceoff. It's all part of the same team of people, and that's one of the reasons we all go on each other's shows. The guys in Ottawa do a great job. I think their show is called What Chaos, I believe, right?
No, What Chaos is it's
or not What Chaos. It's
Coming in Hot.
Coming in Hot. Sorry, Coming in Hot is the Senator show. So those are all part of the same family. For those of you who take in a lot of content from the different YouTube channels. So before we keep going, don't forget to like this episode. Devin Dubnyk was great with great insights. So don't forget to hit that like button. I think we're pretty close to 27,000 subscribers on the Daily Faceoff YouTube page. When we joined last year in January, I think we had 9,000 subscribers.
It was under 10. Yeah.
I think it was about 9,000 subscribers last January 1. Fast forward 12 months and then another 4 months. We're talking about almost 27,000 subscribers between us and between Daily Faceoff Live and between The Sheet. So let's get to 27,000 subscribers. Let's keep building this channel up. Get those automatic downloads on. Comment. Again, we see the comments, and some of them are funny.
We look forward to them.
Yeah, honestly, like, especially the funny ones. I mean, they make it into our group chat all the time. So keep leaving your comments, keep letting us know what you like to hear. Keep letting us know why you think I don't know anything about hockey. All of the above it's great reading for us. So we appreciate you guys and really your contribution to the show every day, because without that contribution, whether we all agree or disagree, without that contribution, there's no show. There's no show. It's not like I get on here every morning because I'm looking forward to talking to Johnny for.
I actually don't know any other show that bickers more than us. I think it's healthy.
Oh, I don't think any show bickers like we do.
No.
I don't think anybody bickers like we do. So
but it's healthy bickering. And I actually saw a comment in the chat too. I didn't really watch the Bruins presser yesterday. Did you see that?
I saw bits and pieces of it. Yeah.
Okay. Because
I mean, look, here's what I would say. Like, I actually didn't mind when Don Sweeney, like, there was a question about, like, would a candidate basically not want to coach the Boston Bruins? And, like, personally, I thought, okay, ask your question. I thought that was a dumb question, because I'd say there's probably every hockey coach in the world would want to coach the Boston Bruins. I mean, it's an original six with rich history. You can't, like, you can't get a better job. I'm sorry. You just can't. I think there's half the coaches in the National Hockey League that have a job would take the Bruins job, It's the Boston Bruins. It's a big marquee place. It's a hub of hockey in the United States, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to think people wouldn't want to coach the Boston Bruins is reaching.
Also, what do they expect that answer to be?
Well, I think people didn't like, and they felt like Don Sweeney was cocky or arrogant about it. And, like, I didn't take it as that. Like, look, you can be critical of Don Sweeney. Like, that's totally fair. Like, he deserves a lot of it. To me, the ugliest part of that press conference was when Charlie Jacobs was asked about the ticket increase prices. Like, they couldn't answer it. He like stumbled through his words, and then he talked about his electric bill or people's electric bill. So, that was the worst part of it to me. And just for you, Klubs, like, I see your comment. They took no accountability for anything. Like, I feel like I did hear them say, like, we were bad this year. It was not good enough. Like,
yeah, but the one clip I saw was the drafting and development question, and it didn't seem like they took any accountability for that. Yeah, and I think Cam Neely was like, it's unfair to Don because he came in like right before that 2015 draft or something like that. Like, I didn't watch the full thing. I just saw
that first draft was a disaster when you have 3 first-round picks like that. Yeah. But I also think, like, you pull up the Bruins roster, okay? And just so you know, before Don Sweeney was the general manager, he was the assistant general manager who oversaw Providence and the draft, okay? So, like, I have no problem going back and saying Brad Marchand and Adam McQuaid and all these guys that were homegrown draft picks, part of the Stanley Cup team in 2011, were all partly on Don Sweeney, right? And then you look at the Pasta draft pick late in the first round, okay? You look at some of the second-round picks that they landed, whether it was Lohrei, Swayman was a mid-round pick, McAvoy was a draft pick. So, like, agreed. You can look at the Bruins and say they drafted so-and-so, and 4 picks later, this guy was drafted who's a superstar. You can also look at that and basically do that for every team. And I'm not absolving the Bruins because they haven't done a great job of drafting and development. Like, they haven't.
Yeah, but
it's not as bad.
Look at the Panthers.
It's not as bad, I think, as people are rushing to say. Like, they're a team that always drafts late in the first round. And, like, what do? Okay, they get Mason Lohrei, who looks like he could be a stud, right, in the second round.
Yeah, but my point, like, of the Panthers, like, that I just brought in too, like, the Panthers, who were their draft picks that they've developed? Just Barkov and Ekblad. Everyone else they've pretty much either signed or traded for to build their team.
I'm just saying, like,
No, but like the whole building through the draft thing to be successful, like I don't necessarily buy into that because like if you trade for the right pieces and sign the right free agents, like you can build a good team. I don't think it's how it used to
good to have
be.
a core. It's good to have a core that you can have on team
Of
friendly
course.
contracts where you know. But look, the Maple Leafs have look how well they drafted. Look at the studs that they drafted.
Yeah.
And it hasn't worked out. Look,
I don't think it's how it used to be though, where you have to build and develop for the draft.
There's more than one way to do it. Like I understand the whole they like they didn't take any accountability. I mean, like, sure, the drafting question was like the way Neely responded to that, Klubs, wasn't great.
Yeah.
You know, but I do so I'll read Klubs' comment, and he says, no high picks, hardly ever. They got Pasta 26. That basically gives them a pass for the whole year of bad drafting. Yeah, okay, like there's some fairness to that too. But you know, I thought the press conference, the biggest issue that I had with the press conference was it just felt like those guys weren't totally succinct or prepared. And like, how is Charlie Jacobs not expecting a question about a team that's raising season ticket prices when your team just had a historically bad year that you haven't seen in forever? Like, how are you not prepared to answer that question better? Like, that was the part that really bothered me the most. And I also thought it was interesting when Cam Neely said, I haven't made my decision yet if Don Sweeney's got 1 year left on his contract, you know? And so he said, like, we'll figure out if we're going to extend him or if he's going to work on a 1 year deal. I think he's going to get an extension, Don Sweeney. I really do.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get an extension.
G. Here comes G.
We are Mike Grinnell in our chat says we are celebrating Lorai, and then he wants him to be great, but he says we can't celebrate him till he's a top 4D and not winning the green jacket from Mike Commodore, which is true.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. G, like I'll give you that and say that that's fair. I think that he's going to end up being a really good player in the National Hockey League. You know, and so we'll see. I mean, you know, and look, I'm not saying they've drafted well. I'm just saying they've also hit on a lot of guys that are important pieces for them, like Swayman, like McAvoy. You know, they obviously just traded Marchand. I know that goes way far back, but like, you know, Don Sweeney had his hand in all that. I think Don Sweeney needs a new staff. Like, to me, that's probably part of the issue here, right? Don Sweeney has been on a winning team. Winning GMs travel and spend time with their team. Rebuilding GMs spend time on the road, okay? Like, they spend time on the road scouting. So I think he probably needs to take a good long look at his staff and figure out where the breakdown is with his scouting staff.
So let me get into Out West, because I'm going to ask you a question actually with this now, because we're going to talk about our Out West worst team of the week, and we actually have a new read from our pals at Out West because it's hoodie season and it's coming to an end. We have spring coming right around the corner, so hoodie season's coming to an end, and that means the fellas at Out West are running a closeout sale on the last of our hoodie stock for the season now through May 1st. Head over to the site and snag yours for just $59. It's a 30% discount. Quantities are limited and available on a first come, first served basis. So grab yours before your color and size sell out for the year. Don't be shocked if you get hooked after your first purchase. These hoodies stand alone in quality, which is very true, and versatility. So great for almost any occasion and ready to move wherever your day takes you. Out West, every game needs an outlaw. Don't forget our code is CUPPA, CUPPA, in all caps. Colby has one thought before I ask my question.
I need one more thing because I'm gonna hit one more comment from Mike Grinnell in the chat.
Okay.
And he's talking about, and he says, talk to any player who has negotiated with Sweeney. He burns bridges and pisses people off. Look, I'm talking directly to you. He was the GM in Providence during my 4 years. I fucking hated him. So I like don't take this as like I'm a Sweeney apologist and I like Don Sweeney. No, I literally fucking hated him. I felt like he was full of shit. I felt like he was arrogant. I felt like he was not honest with me. I would have rather my every year when I would get sent home from training camp and they would tell me how close I was, like, and it always just felt like bullshit. So I am not a Sweeney apologist. But what I'm saying here is I don't think he's as bad at his job as everybody is saying he is. That's all I'm saying. The other thing I will say, if he gets fired, he's still arrogant, Klub says. I totally agree with that comment as well. Okay, he's a Harvard guy. They like to let everybody know that they're the smartest people in the room. Teddy Donato, who's their coach right now, is probably one of the only Harvard guys who doesn't act that way. But like, all I'm saying here is if he gets fired, he's working 5 minutes later for another NHL team. Like, in the hockey circles of all this, I think not to zoom out and to have a perspective, he's not bad at his job. I think it's time to move on from him, just like it was, and I always say this on the show, it was time for the Philadelphia Eagles to move on from Andy Reid all those years ago. And then he went to Kansas City and he's won a bunch of Super Bowls, right? Like, it didn't mean he was a bad coach. It was just time. And that's what I think. That's what I think is the deal for Don Sweeney. I thought it was time to move on. I thought it was time to move on from their management and have a little bit of a refresh, but they've decided they're going to continue to give him the keys, see if he can navigate his way out of this hole that the Bruins are in. That's what I'm saying here, G, just so you know.
So now let me ask you the question. Boston Bruins, New York Rangers, worst team of the week after yesterday's management comments, decisions. What do you make of it? We kind of just did the whole Boston Bruins rant. If you want, I mean, we can get into the
give me the question one more time.
It's the Out West worst team of the week. Which team is in a worse position based on management right now? The Boston Bruins or the New York Rangers? The Boston Bruins have at least committed to like embracing the suck, right? And are going to try to fix it, while the Rangers are pretending that everything's okay, essentially.
Yeah, I think the Boston Bruins are in a better spot. I really do. Although both teams have great goaltenders, and that's a huge piece.
Yeah.
It's a really, really.
I mean, it's kind of similar spots if you think about it. Goaltending, like a number one D and a star forward.
Yeah, I just don't.
Long term, and Panarin has one more year.
At least to me, Don Sweeney's like predictable. There's predictability there, and you don't have an owner that's meddling. Like Jacobs isn't meddling, where I think Dolan meddles. Drury has not given me a lot of confidence based on the things that he's done this year, where I look at Don Sweeney and I'm like, geez, took a lot of balls to trade Brad Marchand.
Yeah.
He had to do it as much as it was, sucked. And it looks like they're getting a first for him. I think he's going to hit that threshold that he needs to hit to get a first for him. I think I trust Don Sweeney more than I trust Chris Drury right now.
And here's my thing too. I think the Rangers players right now don't know where the organization stands. Whereas the Bruins, they at least know what is coming in the next season or so, right? Like I'm not going to call it like a rebuild, but they know they don't have cup aspirations next year. We're going to see
the Bruins.
Yeah.
I mean, Charlie Jacobs said yesterday, I expect us back in the playoffs next year.
But they're not like we want to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
like,
but I think in Boston, it's always your expectation.
Of course, but I think, just get what I'm saying for a second. It's a little bit realistic. Like the Rangers next year are going to come out and say, like, we want to win a Stanley Cup. We're in New York. We're here to win. And that's what the attitude's going to be. And all the comments we heard from breakup day was that almost every player felt there was a disconnect from the players to the coaches to management, yet management isn't going to change. So that's where I'm like, this disconnect is not getting fixed right now. If you sign that manager or the GM that they just said they have a disconnect with to an extension. So
Neely said they will be a cup contender next year. So I heard Jacobs say playoffs. Neely said cup contender. Oh, that's right. Neely corrected Jacobs when he said that. And I think that's his mentality, man. That's 100% Cam Neely's mentality. That guy is all gas, no brakes at all times.
So just I guess to the Drury extension, because I know a lot of Ranger fans are pissed. Chris Drury inherited a winning team for the most part. He came in 2021 for the 21-22 season, and that team that we saw go to that conference final that first time has basically now been destroyed for the most part. Or at least looks totally different. I don't know what this team is going to look like next season. I think Drury's first plan of attack is to move on from Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. And if he does that, I think he wins the hearts back of Ranger fans, because that's the number one thing that needs to change. If you want to at least rebrand this team, it's getting rid of those two. If he's unable to get rid of those two, I think Ranger fans are going to have it out for him next season. And it depends on who they hire.
Remember something.
What?
You can't.
There's no moves. I know.
You can't just click your heels.
I know.
These guys control their own destinies. Zibanejad has 1, 2,
But
3,
so did
4,
Trouba.
5, 6. I mean, like, are you good with them moving on from him for nothing or having to pay another team to take him?
That's essentially what happened with Trouba. You move on from the contract.
But
You
you're
figure it out after.
Trouba and Zibanejad are different.
Of course,
Like,
completely
that's-
different. But listen, I think as far as this team goes, Chris Drury has shown at least that he's not afraid to hurt feelings. Right.
You
So
can't worry about feelings.
no. So you got to look Mika Zibanejad this summer in the face and say, hey, you either got to like waive it or we're not going to play you. Like if that's what's going on right now. I mean, listen, Mika has made it clear he wants to stay. From what I've gathered, it seems that it's clear that they don't necessarily want him to stay. And that's the next thing that has to go.
Yeah, it's you look at the top heaviness of the money and you look at the no move clauses, like they're not modified no's, they're no's. You know, I just, those are going to be hard contracts to move.
Sharma saying classic Rangers fan, no class. I know the Leafs fans are all happy that they're so classy over there with how they pay their players and keep everybody on board. Class or cups? Neither of us don't have shit. So which do you prefer?
Yeah, I don't like the situation the Rangers are in, man. I really don't. I don't like the situation they're in. I don't like, you know, there's too many circus distractions with to me, like and Rempe got quieted down this year, but I think that whole thing turns into more of a circus distraction than anything else. You have underperforming guys that got big contracts with your buddy that you ruined his career. I mean, there's so many issues in New York.
The thing to me with the biggest issue in New York for me is that there's no plan. Everything that Chris Drury has done has been on the fly and just.
Well, there's no plan that you're aware of that's blatantly obvious to you. I don't think.
Can you tell me the plan? What plan?
No, I'm not saying we know what the plan is that's blatantly obvious. I'm just saying you know, there's no GM that makes a decision and says, let me do something that's going to fuck us up. Like, these guys are all trying to.
Of course, and I respect that.
Going in the right direction here.
I respect that.
You know, if Lafreniere continues to play like he was playing to get his contract, maybe it's a whole different conversation, right? I mean, if you know, they begged for JT Miller, everybody wanted JT Miller. What did he do? He went out, he found a way to get JT Miller, right? You moved on from Hedel, you got rid of Lindgren. You know, it's not, you take the good with the bad. Not everything's going to work out.
Yeah. And Tommy, I see your comments. We addressed it when it happened.
We talked about this. I don't know what you want us to talk about. There's no comment. There's nothing public, you know, like you're complaining about something that we've already addressed and there's no new news about it. What do you want us to say? There's rape allegations. There was a settlement and there's no comment from anyone because everybody's under an NDA. Cool. We covered it. Like, I'm not sure what you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
Clearly an ugly situation. Like, we have no information on it. Zero. We don't know what he did. We don't know if he was guilty, if he was innocent. We don't know anything about the whole situation. Nothing. So,
and the case is done. It's been settled.
And it's under NDA. Come out. And so, you know, if stuff does start coming out, they're breaking an NDA. So, like, I'm not sure what you want us to sit here and talk about. Why don't you go out and get us new information, send it to us, and we'll talk about it rather than just bitching at us in the chat. Okay? Like, enough, right? Like, come on. So,
fiery into the show today. Everything was good, and now we're talking about, you know.
That's all right. Listen, that's all right. That's what's good about this show. We can go wherever we want with it. You know what I mean? So we don't ignore anything on this show. Okay. We don't back down or ignore anything on this show. Ever. So when there's something to talk about, I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah. All right. Should we end our bet 365 bet of the night?
Hang on to your seats here, Sharma and Leafs fans.
And Klubes, by the way, Klubes, don't apologize. Like I actually thought we should have talked about the Bruins, and we were going to talk about the Rangers today anyway. So like, it's good to get fired up about these things anyway. Like, these are two original six organizations that a lot of the fans are pissed off and upset at.
Yeah, no, it's good that we're talking about it, and you know, we'll do bet 365, and then we'll kind of talk a quick minute or two here about the games tonight.
Zach, Les, no.
Sorry,
No.
Leafs fans, because you're about to get a big old Bet365 Johnny Jinx. Take it away,
Nope.
Johnny.
You want to get in on the action for Stanley Cup playoffs at Bet365? They've got you. From game props, player props, totals, and the money line, you can even bet on futures like series winners, conference champions, and Stanley Cup champions, and much, much more. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So download the app and get in on the game. An official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You must be 19 or older. And tonight's bet of the night, I don't know how they are underdogs, but it's the Toronto Maple Leafs minus 105. I think the value there is, I don't want to say a steal, but how do you not take the Leafs at that line, going up 2-0 right now in a game 3 against the Ottawa Senators? I like the Leafs tonight. I think everyone's going to be on the Senators because they're going back home. What happened?
Sharma says he's going to throw. You just ruined all of our Leafs fans. You just ruined their days. You just completely ruined their days.
Listen, I hit yesterday. And for what it's worth, I hit the day before with Carolina minus 1.5.
Okay. So you've been on a little run here.
Yeah, it's been good.
Okay. All right.
Tommy, Johnny, please. MLB Kansas City Royals game 1 this afternoon, minus 1.5 for the Rockies. No. Okay, so I think that's really going to do it for today's show. We went pretty long today. Tomorrow, I think we'll have some guests. I spoke to Pat. Pat should be coming on tomorrow. Did we talk about? I feel like we had one other guest coming on tomorrow. No, trying to make that up.
Well, no, we were gonna have Jeff on tomorrow, but he's traveling.
Okay, so no Jeff tomorrow.
He's doing live shows. So
Zach also said the sheet's at 1 today.
The sheet is at 1 p.m. today and tomorrow. So you'll have Daily Face Off live from noon to 12:30, and then you'll have a little intermission, and then the sheet will be at 1 o'clock today. And that's not just today; that is tomorrow as well. So you'll have to readjust your 3 p.m. schedule a little bit. He'll be live in Ottawa, and that'll be again at 1 o'clock today and tomorrow. And it looks like today, is going to be different people. So, anyways, as far as tonight goes, Johnny,
we got 3.
By the way, I ditched Fubo already, my streaming service. Yeah, because there's no TNT. And last night when I was trying to go back and forth between ESPN and TNT, I would have to go from Fubo to HBO Max, which was annoying. So now I got YouTube TV, and I'm just going to have to be without NHL Network because it's just, you just can't win. Right. It's really annoying, but
you had the dual screen going last night, right?
I did see the dual screen option. You can build your own dual screen, which is pretty cool. So I'll give that a little bit of a try tonight. Although I sent you a picture of it and I told you
I don't like it.
Yeah. I didn't really like it.
You're turning your 85-inch into a 45-inch with the dual screen.
Yeah, exactly. I wish what you could do is on Apple TV during the regular season, it lets you have one big game on the screen and then a smaller game off to the side. That I would be okay with.
Picture in picture, what do they call it? Is that what they call it?
It's not quite picture in picture, but you're not wrong. It's kind of like that, but not the same thing. And I see everybody is giving me new suggestions. So I will look into all these things, but I will say this too, my wife needs TBS because she likes watching Friends reruns during the day. And while she's doing stuff with my kids, Friends reruns is always on. And when we got Fubo, there's no Turner. So there's no TBS, there's no TNT, none of those channels. So I appreciate the suggestions here. I'm going to try YouTube TV here for at least a few weeks. And then I'll go from there. Hops Hunting, it looks like he's giving me some advice here. Sling, and then he's telling me you can pick the package with TBS and TNT. All right, I'll check out Sling too. But like I said, right now, the best part is you can just go month to month with any of these. And I tried Fubo. I actually liked Fubo. I liked the functionality of it. It just didn't have some things that I need. So now I'm going to try YouTube TV. And now I'll try YouTube TV for a couple of weeks, and then maybe I'll give Sling an opportunity. So appreciate you all in the chat. I'm a little behind on this stuff, but I'm getting there. So can I tell you one more thing, Johnny? My favorite part about the games tonight?
What?
the last game starts at 9:30, which really means 9:52. Like these fucking puck drops are like ridiculous. Like
I'm also I'm on
they
Central
wonder
Time
why
tonight, so I
ratings
get
are
1 hour
down.
back.
Like
Huh?
you wonder why ratings are down. They're down because like people that have kids have to get up at 5:30 in the morning and people that go to work, like, so it's hard to stay up. Like I stayed up later than you and Vic last night. You guys stopped answering me. Like, I mean, it's like, but it's a killer. Like I get up this morning with my daughter and
I was
like
dead yesterday after the
miserable.
Minnesota 11 o'clock start time. I was so dead.
Yeah.
But again, I don't want to call myself a hero. I'm going to a bachelor party today in Austin, Texas, and I'm staying in tonight to watch the games while everyone else goes out. So credit to me.
Sucks.
Credit to me.
That actually sucks.
I'm committed to our Friday shows.
I feel like
Credit
we
to
should
me.
just try to replace you for tomorrow and let you have a good night.
I don't want to be replaced. I'll have the whole day tomorrow, whole day Saturday.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
Before
hopefully I get there because I have
before we end today's show, you didn't take a direct flight again.
Dude, it was $1,100 for a direct flight or like $600 for the connecting. So I took the $600.
You live in New York. There's connect flights to Dubai.
Well, if everyone would like the fucking stream, we could make more money and I could pay for the $1,100 flights.
Holy shit. I would have given you some of my miles to get you a direct flight. Have you learned nothing? All right.
No.
All right. Prediction time for tonight. Okay, that's how we're going to preview the games. Ready? First game of the night, Tampa, Florida, in Tampa, no Cirelli. Who's going to win the hockey game?
I want to say Tampa, but it's hard to think that Florida will lose. Mine says Florida, heart says Tampa.
Okay, I think Tampa evens the series at 1.
Yep.
I have a hard time seeing them go down 0-2 on home ice.
That's what I think too with my heart, but my brain, how are you beating? Like Florida looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, okay. So that's first game. 7 p.m. Leafs Senators in Ottawa.
Leafs, baby. 3-0 Leafs series lead. I think, listen, if Ottawa was so emotional in game 1, imagine their emotion in front of their home crowd. They're going to run around. They're going to run around.
Your boy
that team doesn't have discipline.
Pinto's got to play better. His line, we said his line could be the X factor.
Yeah.
Hasn't been good enough.
Yeah.
Olmark's got to play better too. But I like Toronto tonight as well. I like Toronto to go up 3-0.
And Vic just said home crowd. That's all Leaf fans in that barn. So I guess that ruins my point.
So let's go to the night games. Back to Minnesota at 1-1. Minnesota, Vegas. Who do you like?
I think Vegas responds and takes 2-1 series lead. I think they're just too good.
Yeah.
Listen, again, Kirill Kaprizov, like we've talked about him, and I've said multiple times that they shut him down, they'll be fine. They haven't been able to shut him down, but you got to think there's adjustments made from games 2 to games 3 for Vegas, and they find a way to slow him down a little bit at least, where he can't get 3 points again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think Vegas wins that game.
Yeah.
I think that series is probably ends up 4-2 Vegas in my opinion. But I think Vegas gets the game back tonight. I think they respond. I think, again, 2 really well coached teams. I just think so much talent. Lot of conversations about the third pair. Like, is Bouillon going to stay in the lineup? Is Bogosian going to come out of the lineup? Like, where do you go there? We'll keep an eye on that throughout the day, but there is a lot of conversations going on about that third pair. And then finally, the night game. I know where you're going, the late game, the 9:30, which means 9:52, which is annoying. Jets, Blues, back in St. Louis. I assume you're going with the
Blues get back in it. The Blues get back in it tonight. You think Winnipeg takes a 3-0 lead?
No. I think the Blues. Blues pick off the game tonight. Yeah.
So we're pretty much aligned on all 4 games tonight.
I think the Blues pick off a game tonight. And get the series to 3-1. I still haven't changed my thought that I think this ends up a 4-1 series. Like, I think this is a 5-game series for the Jets, but I think the Blues get a win on home ice tonight. But we'll see what happens. I still think people underestimate the Jets a little too much. All right. Well, like we said, tomorrow, Friday show. So, don't forget, hopefully our numbers call for us to do Fridays. So make sure you guys are here, and with us here on Friday, tomorrow for the show. If you haven't liked this episode, now would be the time to do it on your way out the door. Make sure you subscribe. We're really trying to get to 27,000 subscribers here in the next day or two. We're very, very close at 26,900 something right now. So let's get those subscribers up. The sheet is at 1:00 today, not 3. Daily Face Off in their regular slot at noon. We're hoping to have Pat Maroon with us tomorrow, I believe, right?
Yep.
Have you talked to Pat? Are we lined up to have Pat tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
So
with his newborn baby girl.
And we'll get his opinion on, especially on the Blues series. I'm sure he's dialed into that. So good job today, Johnny. Thanks for keeping us moving along in the chat. We appreciate it. Good questions today. And again, you guys fire us up. You guys gonna come at us. We're coming right back at you, or at least I am.
I don't think they're coming at us, really.
And we love it. And we love it. So leave your comments. If you're not here live with us and you want to have your voice heard, we know everybody can't be here live, so that's where you can leave your comments on the YouTube once the show is there, sitting there, because we will try to hit those things if they're good topics and they're good questions, as we always do. And other than that, something we don't normally say on a Thursday, but have a good day. Not quite the weekend yet, and we'll see everybody in the same place for our first Friday show of the season tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a good day, everybody.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.